Today's question is on how to build business connections. The reason why most people want to build more business connections is obvious because we are only as strong as our network is. If you're the most valuable person in your network, then the amount of value or the amount of profit or the amount of social effects or whatever it is that you're trying to push, if you're the most valuable person in your network, then whatever it is that you're trying to derive from that network is going to be limited to your own output and your own capacity. But if you have three, four, five, six, seven, eight, maybe nine, 10 valuable people in the network, then the potential for what it is that you can achieve increases drastically. So everybody is on the lookout and everybody's trying to build valuable business connections or social connections or whatever it is that you do. Now, how do you build those connections? You do so by networking. But unfortunately, most people assume that networking is a formal uh, or social predetermined event. So the manager says, you guys are going to have a mixer at the office on Saturday, 4 p.m. Bring your spouse. So people think, yeah, that's networking. Or the church has a social event for um, youthful entrepreneurs or business people from the southeast or whatever. Um, is going to be at 9 a.m. Saturday morning. Come with your family. And then they think, okay, that's networking. Or you're just chilling at home and then you see um, that advertisement fly by on your profile. Women in Business Conference, networking mixer, Hilton Hotel, Monday, 4 p.m. Um, ticket admits one. And you think, okay, networking. Now, that is not entirely wrong, but it's just excessively limiting when it comes to understanding what networking is. Because if you think those are the only avenues that you have for networking, you're not going to be doing much networking and you're not going to be in the right mindset for most of the year because networking is something that you should be doing all the time. Networking opportunities arise effortlessly, arise every single day in our day to day. For those of us who have kids in primary school, I'm sure you notice, but I won't recommend. I'm sure you notice that PTA meetings, primary school functions, stuff like that. I mean, people use that as a hotbed of networking activity, and that's the reason why I won't recommend it because I think it's being abused right now. Because we're all trying to send our children to good schools, and so we're meeting people of different economic backgrounds, different aspirations, things like that. So we all show up to the PTA or the different school functions, trying to hand out business cards and talk about our businesses and why we're the greatest, why we're the best, why we're the latest, and why we are the most sophisticated. So I think the school thing for now is overdone, but that's just one avenue that's open every day. So there's a school function. There are the different people that you meet when you're out at meetings. You know, your DM, yeah, sorry, not your DM, your GM or your DG or whoever says, go represent me at this function. You're there. You're meant to deliver the paper, but of course, you're meeting people before the presentation, during the event, after the event, or you're self-employed. You're meeting customers, potential customers. They're introducing you to new folks. Just the very fact of waking up every day and going about our businesses or our jobs gives us multiple avenues for networking. The thing is just to make sure that we are keenly aware that every single, not every single, most of the interactions that we go through every day can be networking opportunities. So we need to recognize that and we need to have the right networking mindset. Because unfortunately, we also have some bad habits, and most people think that networking is showing up and handing out business cards. So let's go back to the example of your DG or your GM says, represent me at this function at the Hilton. And you go there with a stack of 40 business cards. So before your presentation, you try and hand out as many business cards as possible. After your presentation during the event, you try and hand out as many business cards as possible. And then after the event is done, people walk up to you to say, oh, that was an interesting speech. And your focus is on trying to hand out as many business cards as possible. You've come to the event with 40 business cards. You want to network effectively. And for you, networking effectively means I hand out all 40 of my business cards. Now, that's the wrong way to look at networking. And this is why. When you're networking, you actually should be looking for who are valuable resources to be spending time with in the future. And if all you do at this event is hand out all your business cards, then you have no idea of who actually was in the room. Depending on what business it is that you guys do at the office or whatever business you're involved in, there could have been somebody there who is the chairman of the Nigerian Cattle Rearers Association or the Nigerian Poultry Farmers Association or somebody or something. Now, that person might be a potential business partner for you guys or a good client. But the thing is, you're not going to know that you ran across that person because your focus was on handing out all your business cards. So, rather, what you should be doing is before your event, some people walk up to you, you make introductions, casual talk, but you should be trying to figure out who they are. I'm nice to meet you, Mr. So and so. Glad that you're looking forward to the speech. Hope I don't disappoint you guys. Oh, by the way, what is it that you're involved in? How did you get involved in the association? What is it that brings you here? What line of business are you involved in? What do you do? Okay, this is what you guys are involved in. What are you aiming for so far? What are your plans for? Yes, sorry about that. The recording got paused somehow. Okay, so now let me get back to the example. Yeah, so what are your plans for 2023? What are your plans for XYZ and blah blah blah? Now, if you have that brief conversation with 4 or 5 people before you give your speech, oh, and by the way, I'm not saying that you have to ask every single question. I'm just trying to give examples about how simple, open-ended questions can lead to fruitful conversations. You have that conversation with 4 or 5 people, then you will now get the sense of, oh, okay, the chairman of the Cattle Ranchers Association of Nigeria or the Nigerian Poultry Rearers Association, whatever, is here. Of course, during that conversation, it would be nice if you collect the person's details. That's also another switch. It's not about you throwing around your business card. It's about you getting everybody's cards and contact details. So having those conversations before you give your speech, after you give your speech, and then during the mixer where you guys are having drinks and then you are collecting business cards, you're now going to be able to go back home or go back to the office on your own terms, sit down, look through the business cards and say, okay, I went there and I spoke with 30 people. Of the 30 people, it looks like these 5, we might never do any business with them. In fact, it doesn't look like there's any nexus between us business wise or personal wise. But maybe I should just hold on to the business cards and then you put those 5 aside. And then you look at another 6 and like, okay, the chairman, Abuja Poultry Rearers Association. Okay, what we do is we sell, let's assume that your own business sells chicken feed. And maybe, I'm just making things up by the way. I don't know if you use chicken feed to feed cattle. So there might be business for, maybe partners for selling animal byproducts back and forth between us in the future. So you know now that you to keep that business card. That's someone that you can call later on and have productive business relationships with in the future. And then you look at some cards and you know that, okay, this one, absolutely no room here. There's no point. I'm going to throw away these business cards. But the bottom line is this. From flipping the whole process, instead of going and talking about you and sending out your own business cards, but going there and trying to figure out who they are and collecting their own business cards, you now have a sense of who it is that you ought to be spending time with in the future. And that is what leads to productive networking. And of course, if you had a real nice, fruitful conversation with the chairman of the Abuja Poultry Rearers Association, when you give him a call to say, hello, this is Mrs. Adedeji, the one who delivered the paper at the Hilton. Mrs. Adedeji, I'm so glad you called. I forgot to collect your phone number and blah, 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 blah. And then a wonderful conversation goes on from there. And so that is how you ought to think about networking. Number one, it shouldn't be excessively formal or something that is excessively, something that you agree to ahead of time. It can be everyday opportunities. But even if you're stuck in one of these formal things or in everyday opportunities, because in this example, yes, this was a formal and predetermined thing. So let's just assume that it's still, you're at the kids' school or whatever, the process is still the same. It's not about handing out your business cards and saying, I'm the latest, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, do business with me. It's about talking to the other people. Who are you? What do you do? How did you get involved in this profession? How did you get involved in this business? What problems are you guys trying to solve? What are your plans for 2023? What are your plans for 2024? What challenges do you guys have now? Blah, blah, blah. all those kinds of things. Simple, open-ended questions. It'll give you a sense of who am I talking to now. After the event, you would have spoken to a bunch of people. You would have figured out these are the people that are worth spending time with. These are the people that I don't think are worth spending time with. And then you start investing time in those people who are worth talking to. So we've gone past the 10-minute mark and I'll wrap it up now. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode. And sorry about the glitch in the recording earlier. Remember, you guys can ask me anything on WhatsApp or Telegram. The number is the same, 080 6466 2140. Again, for WhatsApp or Telegram, just shoot me a message asking me anything, 080 6466 2140. The country code for Nigeria is +234. Again, the country code for Nigeria is +234. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next episode.